Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with my fabulous co-hosts, PK and George Lugo, and our guest tonight. This is a real treat. We have with us tonight Kerri Kannan. She is going to help us turn our lives around the easy way. Don't we all want that? So we're going to hear all about how she does what she does and the power of it. But first, we're going to check in with PK, Patricia Kirkman, who you can also find at patriciakirkman.com. She's a very renowned numerologist, and we want to know, PK, what do the numbers have in store for us? Mercury retrograde has been brutal so far, so tell us more about...
It's not going to get any better, sweetie, I'm afraid. I mentioned earlier today, I was talking to someone, and I made mention of the fact that this is a 5 universal month, and because of that, people are doing things in a hurry, much quicker than necessary, but people are driving faster than they should. On the way home from the TV station this morning, 2 major accidents, one right after I left and one before I got home. This was just on the regular main streets. The cars were, the hood was off of one right into the windshield. I mean, they weren't like a little fender bender. They were big-time damages to both vehicles in the 2 different accidents. And I had just finished saying, be careful of what you drive. Drive the speedometer. Don't pay attention to what's going on. Pay attention to what you're doing speed-wise. Because there's somebody sitting on a corner holding a little pad of paper. They'd love to give you one of their tickets. So we need to be cautious.
I bet they would. And you had that also, that within an hour of Tucson was that absolutely horrible massacre that took place south of you.
That's true.
So there's another just unbelievable, it's horrible thing that went on, and I wonder if that's related at all to Mercury retrograde. But it does seem like you and I were discussing earlier, the fact that it's in Scorpio this time seems to bring an extra intensity to all of this.
Well, that I agree with, but also the fact that it's in a 5 month. 5 means major changes, good to bad, bad to good. That's one of the problems because people flip off just instantaneously. They'll get angry about something, no real reason for it. The next thing you know, perfectly calm. They're just not paying attention to the fact they have this need for personal freedom at all costs, and they're not paying attention to the fact that other people have the same rights. And that's part of what's taking place. And, of course, we're looking at how things are going. And Scorpio, of course, deals with a lot of passion and intuitiveness, but it also deals with a lot of stubbornness and a lot of secretiveness and distrusting. And I think that has a lot to do with what was taking place down in Mexico. There's so much going on in that area. It's a little scary. I shouldn't say a little scary. It's a lot scary to see what people are doing to one another these days. It's just unconscionable.
It really is. And this is so close to where you live in Arizona. I mean, that's the other scary part is it doesn't take much for them to get across the border. So this is why we need to be a little more cautious about how we let people in. So anyways, so we all need to watch out.
Well, with the holidays coming, people are upset about what they don't have or what they need and how to put things together in the bringing together of different things. We had a sheriff's department, one of the fellows in there stealing out of a Walmart by price changing the cards on the merchandise so that you could check it out for a few bucks as opposed to what the real cost was, and going out to scan it itself. Spent 5 years on the force and to do such a stupid thing. And that's protecting
really,
us. That scares you.
Yeah. It does. It does. It's like, wow, what a wake-up call for all of us. Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, we do have some great stories on our Facebook page. Again, some super paranormal stories. Somebody was filming chemtrails, and we've all discussed the chemtrail situation.
Right.
And guess what turned up? A UFO. So that's on our Facebook page. You can watch the video there. You can see these horrible chemtrails that are being sprayed, and that's what this gentleman was trying to document. And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Wait a second, what's that?" And it's clearly an unidentified. So take a look at that. That's on our Facebook page. Again, we have our candles on sale at supernaturalgirls.com, and we have Shaman Itzhak Berry, who is coming to teach us shamanic divination and candle reading here in the Hill Towns on November 16th from 11 to 6, and we have a few spaces left. So if you're interested, be sure to contact me. You can reach me from the website, and you'll find my email there. And it's going to be a spectacular day with Itzhak. You're going to be able to learn how to master this just in a very short period of time. So you can have another tool for your toolbox, and it's a great group of people that will be there learning about this together. So I highly encourage everybody, if you're going to be in the area, then just make sure you give me a call ahead of time so we can reserve your spot. And last night, I got a phone call out of the blue from JoJo, who is the host of Paranormalish, and I had been on his show before talking about dreams and paralysis when we sleep, and he called last night and said, "Would you please jump on the air with me? I have an actress here, and she's got a dream she needs interpreted." So I did, and it was really profound, and as it turned out, the lady that I was speaking with she comes from a long line of very strong Peruvian women. So it was a great, great dream that she shared. I'm going to let everybody know when you can hear that explanation of the dream and what she had to say about it. It was super intense, and I want to share it with everybody. So as soon as JoJo gets it to me, I will share it with all of you. And then last week, we had Fox Hollow Farm, PK. You and I were the only ones left standing after George got knocked off with those horrible storms down in Florida. And that was one spooky.
After him.
Wow. Well, that was one spooky story. And George had some insights. And I wanted George to give you a chance to share what you were picking up on about the property and the spirits that were still there. So do tell. What did you pick up on? Because we did hear from some of the other psychics that had been at the property. But please tell us your thoughts on it.
Well, first of all, I didn't get to really hear it because the storm I lost my internet. I lost everything. So I just sat here in the dark going, oh, well, now what? So anyway, but you know, the little tiny bit that I heard, probably the first, broken up 10 minutes of it. But what I basically got with that, just by knowing what I know, I feel like it's calmed down somewhat. There's a lot of souls there, not as many as there used to be. I feel like they've either been helped into the light and are not there that much anymore. The people that live there, they're a very grounded couple, I guess, and they're just very together, and they don't make a big deal out of this. And that's they're kind of like the perfect person to live in that house after all those horrific murders and all these men that are scattered all over the place. I felt like they were young men. I felt like there was some frustration with them, can't find the light. And I know that they had a bunch of people out there, different psychics and mediums and all kinds of people out there trying to figure this out and find all the bodies. I know there's a lot of bodies that are missing. And something about the skulls or their heads were missing. Nobody could find their head. I mean, that's what I got. But
nobody
anyway,
found the skulls. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're somewhere out there. I think they're off the property. I think they're somewhere else, like thrown down a shaft someplace or, buried somewhere. But I do feel that it's not as active, and give it another few years, it should be pretty calm by then. But I do feel like some souls, when they're stuck in a place like that, they just don't. They just kind of stay there and linger. They're not necessarily bad souls. They're just lost. And they would just take somebody to go out there, to get a real strong male medium to go out there, because they died under horrible circumstances.
Why don't you go, George?
What?
Why don't you go and check out that area?
Well, if they want me, they can call me, so I'd be happy to do it. But, there's just all these souls that are kind of wandering around, but not as many as it was in the beginning. The beginning was really crazy. They had a person that was staying there at the time. His name was Joe, but he was like a trigger for it. And he got them all started, and they were banging on his door. And he lived upstairs or something, above a
he lived
barn
in
or something.
Another building on the property. Yeah, that was separate from the house. Yes,
it was a place back, I think.
And then them trying to reach him, but they could. I think he was kind of young, right? Was he sort of a young person?
Yes,
not young, but
I
probably
think he might have been around
late
the same
20s,
age
30s.
as. Yeah, some of them may be similar in age to the ones that he lured to the property to kill.
Yeah, and his vibration and his frequency, was kind of tuned to them. So they were coming to him, but just short of showing themselves. You know what I mean? I probably scared him half to death. But I think he lived there for a while, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. He did live there for a while, and you're right in line with what they shared with us that a lot of the mediums did find when they went to the property. But I want to get you back in touch with them because
that'd be great.
I don't know if you're aware, but the situation is that they've been contacted again by Travel Channel and History, and they want to do another piece on this property. So it would be great.
Oh.
And I think you're right.
Yeah.
The medium that needs to lead these souls into the light, I think you're right. It has to be a male. So,
it's got to be a male. It's got to be a strong male that understands.
Yes.
Because, lots of times when you do this kind of work, you're going to see some things and feel some things. And sometimes you feel things that you go through. For an example, I did a reading yesterday, and this lady sat down in front of me, and all of a sudden I just felt like I was choking really bad and burning around my neck. And I said, there's a male here, and I feel that he passed away by strangulation, maybe hung himself. And she just started crying, and she goes, yeah, that's my son. He was only 16.
Oh, no.
And he hung himself in his bedroom. He was doing the the erotica asphyxiation thing, and that made me think of this place. This made me think of this place that these men died at the farm there. So it just needs to be talked to. They need to be talked to, but it's going to take a strong male that won't chicken out and freak out and take off running. Because it's going to be it's fairly heavy duty. But there are some that need to go into the light. Sometimes they don't want to go into the light. They're kind of not happy necessarily, but just this is where they feel like they can run around for a while. But I feel like there's an encroachment of other subdivisions around. This is not out in the country as it was, 15, 20 years ago. I feel like there's other people that are moving into the area. So that frustrates these spirits that are kind of walking around. And I wouldn't doubt if they wandered into a few other new people's houses and scare them half to death.
Oh, boy.
It just depends on your frequency. It depends on your vibration and your frequency, what they can tune into. But I've done that before.
Yeah.
I've led a few souls in front of people into the light, and so which was great for me, because I can prove it. So
that's
anyway,
why you go
that's
there,
what
George,
I got on that.
How strong you are at what you do.
Well, thank you. Well, I try. I try. Believe me, I try. It's a double-edged sword, Go ahead.
It is. It is. You never know what you're going to find when you go into a situation like that, even if you are prepared. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you guys in touch with each other, and then you can discuss meeting up and possibly participating in that. And I think it would be a terrific thing. It's just too bad that the weather took you off the air because I wanted you to be able to share your feelings live with everybody. But the storm was a bad one. You guys had tornadoes and everything else hitting down there.
Yeah.
So
had to pick up lots of limbs the next morning. Yeah,
I bet.
Great. Sounds wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take care of that, and then, for now, we are going to go right into the miracle of conscious alignment and conscious creation. Now, Kerri Kannan is a consciousness coach, and she started studying the nature of consciousness in '93 and has been teaching self-love and realization since 1998 when she wrote the Uncovering the Divine Within Workbook. In 2004, during a week of intense spiritual study, she helped facilitate a spontaneous healing and used that as a touchstone for knowing that within all of us is the power to command consciousness. So I am going to bring Kerri onto the show. She's going to take it from here. So Kerri Kannan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so very much, Patricia and George and PK. Thanks for having me on, guys. I just Patricia, you're awesome. So anyway, and it's just awesome. And
thank you.
Patricia had the opportunity to take my 12-week program, and had some pretty amazing results as well. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great program, and I hope you will be offering it again in the future so that people can have a same powerful experience I did. But tell us from here, because you did have that healing experience where you did help somebody actually heal. That was quite remarkable. But then that was like just the jumping off point for you, and you ran with it from there. So tell us how you did that.
So that was, I like to call that my touchstone, because that's obviously the thing that kept me coming back to, okay, how did I do that first time, and how do I get back there? And it took me about 10 years to finally figure that out. And what happened was I was trying and studying and trying to understand like what happened in that spontaneous moment. And just to so what happened at the time when the spontaneous healing happened was I was at this, like you said, this week-long spiritual retreat at Unity Village. And one of my instructors had her hand, on Monday she did not have her hand in a splint, and on Tuesday and Wednesday she did. And on Wednesday we were going through Jesus's miracles. And there was like a method to the madness. So what happened was he would be presented with something, and then he would go into meditation, and then he would come out with a knowing, and then he would do his little theatrical thing, like, poke his fingers in your ear, spit on somebody's tongue, rub on their eye, whatever. And people thought that theatrical thing was what caused the miracle, but it wasn't. It was the knowing. And so this is how intense this spiritual program was. So I took 4 classes, plus there was like a half an hour meditation prior to breakfast every day. But there were 4 classes, and each class was 2 hours. So both of my afternoon classes were taught by this woman, Eliza. And after the first hour, on Wednesday of going through all of these miracles, I knew that we could do miracles as well. I knew that it was the divine birthright of every single person to be able to do this, because that's what he said. He said, you can do these things too. And people just don't listen. They don't listen. They don't pay attention or whatever. They think somebody else can do it, and people are afraid to claim their power. And so from that fear of claiming your power, then you become powerless, or not disempowered or whatever. So after the first hour, I knew that I could do it. So I found a quiet spot, and I said, is there anything that I can do to help heal Eliza's hand? And I got a yes. And I was like, okay, what do I have to do? And I got just no. And I was like, really? Just no? And I got just no. So I walked in, held her hand, looked her in the eye, said, I don't know how, but I know that your hand is healed. And then somebody else walked in the room and said, oh, Eliza, your hand is healed already. Well, the next day she came in, and she was not wearing the splint, and somebody asked her about it, and she said, I woke up today and my hand felt better than it had since before the accident. And so I was like, that's very interesting. And then, the week ended, and like a year later, she was sending out, little Jesus jokes and things like that. And I asked her, I said, hey, do you remember when I told you your hand was healed? And it was. And I said, how is that going for you? Is that, did it stick? I don't know. And she said, I completely forgot about it. It's fine. I completely forgot about it. So I knew that there was something there. So that was the touchstone. And then the next 10 years, I was trying to, I always had it in my mind that I could do this, but I didn't know how to get back to that place or the consciousness of that. And the consciousness in the room at the time was so high. So it took me 10 years, and I did something called the 5 Keys to Conscious Creation, which goes through the steps that I now do just naturally, but it's kind of like the baby steps and the things that one needs to learn to figure out how to do that. And then ultimately what happened was in 2014, I had gone through, I think, like my 4th of 6 custody battles, and my ex-husband had just wrangled primary custody away from me, and I was experiencing financial difficulty because I no longer had custody of my kids. I was doing web design work, and I had a client who was providing me with most of the work, but I was doing these beautiful, beautiful websites, and I was only being paid $1,200, and it took me like a month to put together each website. So I told my client that I needed to either be paid more or do less elaborate websites, and he said, well, I'm doing you a favor. I can just go to India and have somebody do them. So I was panicking about money. And so I saw in my life that I had this pattern of this control pattern with men as it related to money. And I was like, oh, I see this pattern and I want it gone. And so I called up Silent Unity, and I told them, I asked for a prayer request, and they did a prayer for that. And within 10 minutes of that, I came across someone who was doing similar work to what I do. And what happened was I immediately felt a sense of deep peace and calm, and all of my panic about money completely went away. And I realized when I asked for that pattern to be gone that, first of all, like that my income from my ex-husband disappeared because he had just gotten primary custody, and I fired my client. And I had one client left, and she was paying me $250 a month to do audio editing. And I was also trying to do my coaching, my spiritual stuff too, but that really wasn't what my primary focus was at that time. So here I was, after I let go of my client and my ex-husband was no longer paying any support. I was in a position where I was bringing in $250 a month from this one other gig that I had. And
so that's far from a living wage.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So it was $250 a month, and I had just gone through this and was experiencing this deep peace. And I said to myself, I was like, that's okay. I'm in this deep peace, and the money can come in just as quickly as it went out. And I sat on my couch, I kid you not, instead of looking for a job like any normal, sane person would do, I sat on my couch and I was meditating, and I said, is there anything that I can do to bring in some financial abundance? And I got, just wait. I was like, okay, is there anything I can do now to bring in financial abundance? And I got, just wait. And I got, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait, just wait. So 2.5 weeks later, and you guys have him on your show too, I was talking to a gentleman who has this really amazing healing thing that he calls scalar energy. And I had done the audio for this other person who I was doing the audio editing for, and I told him that was how I found him, was by editing her audios, and that was for my World Awakened Talk Radio. So I had a podcast at the time called World Awakened Talk Radio, and he was going to be my guest, and he wanted to do a pre-interview, and I was like, okay. So, because I had nothing else to do, I was sitting on my couch meditating. I'm okay. Yeah, let's do a pre-interview. And so I told him that I knew this other person, and he said, how many people like that do you know? And I said, oh, I don't know, hundreds. Those are my people. And he said, if you can get me interviews with people like that, I will pay you $500 a piece, to secure these interviews. And I was like, really? How many do you want? And he said, as many as you can get. So I was able to get him about 10 a week. So I will let the listeners do the math. So I went from making $250 a month to making over $20,000 a month in just by meditating and just by being in this state of calm and peace. So after I experienced
and
that,
that's not easy to do. If I can just interject here for a moment. I mean,
yeah.
Let's face it, when most of us have bills mounting up and no money to pay them, it does inspire a lot of anxiety. So being able to be advanced and enlightened enough to do what you did, which is to settle down and be in a receptive mode, is unusual. And yet you were able to do that and increase your income so many times over, which was phenomenal. But now you're at a point. Go ahead. I was going to say it wasn't really a choice. I wasn't forcing myself to do that. That was what that state brought on, what I now call consciousness alignments, because there's more to the story. But go ahead, finish what you were going to say. Yeah, and so now here's the part that I like so much, because so many people struggle with trying to find a way to create what they want in their lives. But you found a way to help people get aligned to it. And just by this statement that you make, for lack of a better term, you're able to move the energy around. So let's talk a little bit about that. So how do you do that?
So what I do is, we all hear that we are one, we are unity, and the divine lives through everything, consciousness lives through everything. And for most people, that's sort of this etheric, fluffy way of seeing the world, right? They acknowledge it, but they don't know how to live it. So what I do is I just step into it and live it. And it's just, that's all it requires, is stepping into it. It's a different perspective. It's not a mindset. It's a perspective. So it's acknowledging yourself as the divine, as the consciousness that lives in, through, and as everything. And then when you step into that and you put that coat on, then you are that. And from that perspective, everything is possible.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. So let's go to this, if you could. Now we'll get back to the story and the background of all of this again. But if you, how about picking a topic? I know we discussed people want to make more money or have more money.
Yeah.
How about starting there? Can you do that consciousness alignment for all of us in the audience tonight?
Absolutely. So so I know when it comes to money, so there are a couple things that are associated with that. And I wrote down money on my little pad here because I'm always writing stuff down when people are asking for consciousness alignments. But so we have money, but then there's the panic around not having enough money. So, and that's really what gets in people's way is oh my God, I don't have enough money. And the panic doesn't allow your mind to calm down. And that it doesn't allow you to be open and receptive to ideas. So let's work on panic around money and not having enough, and being open and being open to ways for the universe to drop things in your lap. Because the beauty that I love about this is that it doesn't require any particular effort on anybody's part. After I decided to claim this for myself, so going back to that story,
Yes.
I tried to contact that lady, and she was charging $1,000 an hour for private sessions, and at the time I could afford it, but she was inaccessible to me. And like she didn't have any classes going on. She said she was charging $1,000 an hour. I couldn't like beg her to take my money. I couldn't do that. So I started listening to what she did, and in all of her interviews, she said, like, people would ask her about it, and she would say, oh, well, I could give you the script, or I could tell you how I do it, but I'm the only one with the gift, and nobody else can do it, so it wouldn't do you any good anyway. And I knew, because I had done it before, that was a load of crap. So it pissed me off that she was duping people, really, and she was, telling people that they didn't have the power, because nobody is superior to anyone else. I am not, like me, Kerri Kannan, just because I have this gift and I've discovered that I have this gift does not mean that anybody else doesn't have the gift. Certainly, it requires some diligence and retraining of your mindset, but that's what it requires. It's just to train yourself into a different mindset and a different perspective. But it doesn't mean that anybody is, separate from the ability to harness this, because this is your divine birthright. So what I did was I listened to what she did, and she said basically that nobody else could do it. And I was like, well, screw you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it. And I did.
You rebel, you.
And,
Good girl.
And that's what happened. And person after person after person after person told me, holy crap, Kerri, I listened to what you said. I received it the way that you told me to receive it, and like money landed in my lap, or this dream job landed in my lap, or I had this healed relationship, or a whole myriad of other things. In fact, this past week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I don't even know at this point, a friend of mine told me that somebody was listening to one of these programs exactly like this one, an artist who was trying to get their work out, and then somebody contacted them and asked them if they can have one of his pieces to put on permanent display at the Louvre. Now,
wow,
it doesn't get any better than that. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. And also a solo show in Portugal, to have their art on display in a solo show in Portugal and the Louvre, all within like 6 weeks.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. So it's
incredible.
It's amazing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
anyway.
Again, money, having enough in your life and being receptive to receiving it, because we've all heard lots of people talk about this, and that for some reason we've either fallen out of alignment with that, or we've closed off the pipe that allows these things to flow through. We've gotten into some resistance around it, focusing on the negative or whatever.
Sabotage.
And so, right. Any way that we can think of to sabotage, and other ways we can't even think of consciously, but they just lock in, and they prevent us from having the wealth and abundance that we deserve. And then here comes the panic, the anxiety, that it's always going to be that way, and how do we, manage our lives financially. So, so let's have you do this consciousness alignment around money for everybody in the audience, and of course the host. It's very important to do this for the hosts. So,
and your part, Patricia.
Absolutely.
So what do we need to do? Should we just sit nice and quietly?
So to receive a consciousness alignment. Yep. So to receive a consciousness alignment, I want, whoever is listening, if you're doing dishes or watching TV and listening to this, or first of all, don't drive your car. Like if you're driving your car, please stop and listen later, because it is very powerful. People feel physical sensations, and we don't want you feeling any physical sensations while you're driving.
Right.
But don't do
or
anything
operating
else.
machinery.
Don't vacuum your floor. Don't chase toddlers. Listen when you have an opportunity to be quiet and listen, because how you receive is you want to listen to my words as I'm speaking them, and you want to just say yes to yourself, either out loud or to yourself. It doesn't really matter. And that will do two things. It will activate your free will, and it will allow the universe to know that that you want this, that you're open and you're open to being receptive. That is it. Then there's nothing that you need to do. So a lot of times people will say, okay, now that you've done that, what do I need to do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You don't have to focus on it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to do 10,000 affirmations. Nothing. Just live your life as you normally would, and the universe has got your back. And the reason that it works like that is because, again, I am not operating from the personality perspective. When I do this work, I am operating from the perspective that all that is, like all that unified field that, creates everything is me, and it is you. And most importantly, it is all potentiality. So I am all potentiality, as are you. And from that field of infinite potentiality, the universe, that's where the universe has fun. That's where, like, God has fun, or whatever you want to call it. That's where everything is orchestrated. So when you're operating from that perspective, again, it's not a mindset, it's a perspective of this higher perspective, that's when you can call in whatever you want, because it's not separate from you. So, and I like to call it command consciousness. It pushes some people's buttons. But in the same way that you can command your body to walk across the room, open the refrigerator door, get the orange juice, unscrew the cap, get a cup down, pour the orange juice, and take a drink, that's the same way that I am commanding consciousness. I'm doing it from a higher perspective, and I'm just asking for it to happen. And when I ask for it to happen, the rest of the universe, the rest of intelligence, the rest of consciousness that is me goes to work, because that's where the higher perspective has fun. That's its job, is to, hear the intention and go ahead and deliver. And in a little bit, we'll talk about blocks and things like that. But first, we're going to do this, and I'm going to do money, and I'm going to focus. I'm going to go through the panic and the self-sabotage and like family curses and things like that may be back from the freaking dark ages. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace that with joyful fulfillment and having enough and being in alignment with your right work and things like that. So here we go. So remember, you just want to say yes, and you want to listen to what I say. So here we go. Thank you, divine consciousness that lives in, through, and as me, and is both the voice that speaks and the ear that hears. It is every potentiality, every material manifestation, every perspective, all of everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you for already creating for this person and in this person's life now a sense of fulfillment and financial release, financial affluence and flow. Thank you for releasing this person across all time, space, dimension, and reality, a sense that they don't have enough. Thank you for releasing them from that now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Thank you for releasing from them any fears that have to do with money and not having enough or worry about money. Thank you for releasing that now across all time, space, dimension, and reality, in every vibrating molecule, every spinning atom, every strand of DNA, and replacing that with a sense of peace, a sense of serenity, knowing that they are one with the universe and they are the creative force in the universe. Thank you, thank you, thank you for releasing from this person any sense of sabotage or any family contract that they may have where they feel that they need to stay impoverished or not have money in order to please someone else. Thank you for releasing them from any family curses or genetic inheritances, whether they're physical or whether they're energetic. Thank you for releasing this person from any ideas, any thoughts, any beliefs, any energetic patterns, any energetic parasites across all time, space, dimension, and reality now that keep them from living their most financially fulfilling and independent and freeing life now. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. And thank you for replacing that consciousness with a new consciousness that supports this person in having enough all the time and always having enough and being at peace and at ease within themselves, knowing that the consciousness that creates a desire within them to be financially free is wanting to experience that in, through, and as them. So thank you for assisting this person in letting go of the consciousness in the way of that now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Thank you for perfectly aligning this person to be in alignment with their best work, their best life, the work that brings them most fulfillment. Thank you for creating that for this person now, and for creating a receptivity within this person where they have this financial freedom, where their mountains of money are showing up in their life, where cartloads of cash is showing up in their life, where they always have enough, and they have the deep peace and serenity of knowing that they always have enough. That is something even better. That is something even better now, across all time, space, dimension, and reality, every vibrating molecule and every spinning atom. And thank you for erasing this a poverty mindset, going down 10,000 generations, back down their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family. Thank you for anchoring that within this person now and forevermore, for the rest of their life here on planet Earth. And thank you for them passing this on to future generations now and forevermore, so that all future generations can find their most fulfilling life work and be well paid. Thank you, it's already done, so that they have a cosmic bank account that is overflowing and giving and giving and giving as they live their most fulfilling and joyful and happy life, that this cosmic bank account is giving and giving, because that is their inheritance. That is their inheritance, to be the flow, to be affluence, to be the divine, living in full expression as this person now. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you, it's already done now. And so it is. Okay, everybody take a deep breath. And push it all out. And take another deep breath. And push it all out.
Wow. That was some kind of power. So
yes.
Let me ask, I know I've experienced this with you before, Kerri, so I'm going to let my co-host here comment. So PK and George, what happened for each of you?
It was a strange sensation, because it felt almost like you were cushioned in like a cotton batting or like something around you. It felt very safe and very secure, and not afraid to think what you were saying as a possibility.
Right.
George?
Well, when I was listening to your words, and all of a sudden you said now, the very first time you said now, it almost felt like I walked into a pole. It was like, bam, and it was like a big, but what I envisioned was a bright gold flash, and like that feeling of like walking into a pole, and like your words were around it, and then you just kept going, and I just wasn't expecting that, and boy, it hit me really loud and clear. So every time you would say that, it just another flash, and they were always gold, almost like gold medallions, or just these. I don't know. It was fantastic. I really liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrific, Kerri. Really, there's so much power in what you offer, and when it lands, when we allow it to land, we don't have any resistance to it. It really does shift. It just completely shifts your consciousness.
Yeah, it's powerful.
But it felt protective also.
Yeah,
really
I think I have many helpers.
Well, they're all very good. Yeah, it's very positive.
Well, we're going to take a really short commercial break and come back. We're going to do more of these, and we are just going to continue to have fun shifting and changing our consciousness so that we create what we want in our lives. So everybody, stay tuned. You are listening to Supernatural Girls Radio, and we'll be right back.
Pure essential oils, specialized minerals, and a revolutionary anti-aging technology. Astridian combines the best of all scientifically proven ingredients in easy-to-use creams, lotions, and concentrated serums. Astridian's advanced line of products take your skin to a new level of being healthy and beautiful. We offer a variety of collections that address all your skin concerns. The Essential Anti-Aging Series treats and moisturizes your skin for a long-lasting, younger look. The Multivitamin Series promotes healthy skin with high-quality vitamins and minerals. The Sports Series restores skin from cellular damage and stress. Astridian also offers a revitalizing solution for hair and a professional series for doctors and medical spas. Visit astridian.love today and begin your new journey to healthy, beautiful, youthful skin. Astridian, beyond your expectations.
There are a lot of psychics out there. How do you decide which one is right for you? You look for someone who empowers you, who's practical and spiritually connected, who says, here are your opportunities, here are your challenges, and here's a way to deal with them, and then gives you your own toolbox to make your life everything you want it to be. Hi, I'm Kerri Kannan, and that's how I work with you. As a certified professional tarot reader, I've helped thousands of people for over 40 years through my toolbox. Cards, past life retrieval, numerology, spirit guide conferences, and mediumship. Whether it's career, relationships, finances, or your spiritual road, together we can replace your confusion with clarity. And you'll probably find a little laughter along the way. Visit me at KerriMitleid.com to find out how to cross your bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. And tell me you found me at Supernatural Girls for a special gift with your reading. Kerri Mitleid, the practical psychic for catching your tomorrows today. Find me at KerriMitleid.com. That's KerriMitleid.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Are you frustrated with endless mantras, affirmations, and processes that promise to align your life with your dreams, only to find yourself years later in the same space where you began? Do you feel like you must be doing something wrong because nothing seems to be working? Don't you just wish that someone could shift your consciousness for you and your life could align with your desires without all the effort? Well, your wish is about to come true. Hi, I'm Kerri Kannan, and I have a gift that allows me to align the consciousness of others to be in harmony with their dreams. The best part is, it requires no particular effort on your part. Upon listening to a consciousness alignment, people have reported instant energy shifts, financial windfalls, soulmate connections, healed relationships, physical healings, and more. To gain access to a free trial offer for my entire Manifesting Miracles library of consciousness alignments, go to commandmiracles.com now for details. Again, that's commandmiracles.com for information about our free trial offer. That's commandmiracles.com.
Hello.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, Patricia Kirkman, PK, and our additional co-host, because you can never have too many, especially when they're great, like George Lugo. And George is here with us tonight, and very grateful to have him. So our guest is Kerri Kannan, and she is doing consciousness alignment for free for all of us in the audience tonight. It is tremendous work, very powerful. So, Kerri, that was just great, just amazing work. And you can do this with any subject, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Whatever you can think of, whatever you can dream of, we can do it for. So
fabulous. That is fabulous.
Yeah, it just takes you down a completely different path.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that we want to do some more. I know we've got some requests for health and for enabling. So I'd love to do those, or unless you want to continue the conversation, I am happy to do whatever you guys want to do.
Well, just part of what you're saying, you have your own way of doing this. And there are other people who've talked about creation in the past, but there are some similarities here that I think are very powerful and good. And again, this getting into a state of no resistance, which you mentioned as one of the things that you did when you were down to $250 a month. You sat on the couch and said, okay, what am I supposed to do? Just wait. And you did. Mm-hmm. And everything shifted, but you had no resistance to it. So sometimes I'm wondering what happens when, and I know you and I have discussed this off the air, that when you do a consciousness alignment for somebody, one of two things can happen. And this is just my experience, but either you line up and you're able to manifest and receive this, or your resistance surfaces and you have the opportunity to realize, here's my resistance. I'm now facing it, and I need to clear it. So let's talk about that a little bit, because that can happen.
Yeah. So I found that the more attached somebody is to an outcome, or more a specific outcome, the more they will experience a lag, or it'll seem like it's not manifesting. And, a lot of times, and I think even we, like when we were working together in the class, you were asking for one thing, and I sort of went around through the back door. I did a consciousness alignment for you that wasn't exactly what you were asking for, and I kind of went in a roundabout way kind of through the back door. And then you told me, I don't know if it was the next week or a couple weeks later, you were like, hey, guess what, this and this happened. And I was like, great, do you remember that we went around the back door? Because we were because when our attachments and our need for something to happen are so strong, I feel like people get in their own way. So, and this happens sometimes, where people will be like, I want this to happen, and I will align for it, and I'll do a consciousness alignment for it. And it seems like it's not happening, but that's just because they're so attached to this one particular specific way that this outcome can happen that they almost close off any other, options. And so sometimes, let's take the financial, the financial thing, since we just did that. Sometimes people will want, a financial, opportunity to arrive, and they want it to look a certain way. And, we don't always know how we'll feel fulfilled. We think that we know how we'll feel fulfilled because we know what we're good at. But we don't always know what will be most, fulfilling for us. And we can find that there'll be, there's a myriad of things that we can totally enjoy doing that will bring us fulfillment that don't necessarily look like the picture that we have in our mind. So what happens when we end up, in those situations where we're feeling blocked is, I think we just get in our own way because we have ideas on how something is supposed to show up. So sometimes if we run into those blocks, just a slight shift in, allowing for that idea of fulfillment to be a little bit more expansive. Instead of, I want for it to look exactly like this, or I want it, to show up in this way, be a little bit more expansive. And then when we can be more expansive in that, then things can kind of come in through the back door, maybe not in the way that you expected, but in a more fulfilling way, or a more fun way, or whatever that is, that you're like, holy mackerel, this thing just happened, and it's so much better than I could have even possibly imagined. So I think that's what happens a lot of times. with that.
Yeah, and I know that you have a great amount of intuition and sensitivity, so you can feel your way through this where you sense people have a certain attachment that's too intense, or that there's another way that you need to word this. So there's a lot to this consciousness creation. It's not just throwing a bunch of words out there and hoping that they'll stick. There's a lot more and much more deep work involved. So it's important to know that. And again, you're especially gifted to be able to pick those things apart and be able to find the proper words that will allow these things to happen. And one of the reasons I brought up enabling is because a lot of us in the profession of helping and are sensitive, empathic, sometimes we overgive. And sometimes we do too much for the other person, and it ends up draining us. So for all of us who have the sensitive abilities, the psychic abilities, and just have families we love and care about, but are trying to do too much, focus on them and not enough on ourselves. So I thought that would be a good one for our audience and for the hosts as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with enabling, like we don't, especially as women, because women enable people more than men. I think we don't want to be seen as a bitch. And, we don't want to be seen as, like in any way, because there's a stigma around women claiming their power. And so I'll just use my, like when my husband, when we split up. So he was a drinker, and he would self-harm. And for a while, he would do this, and I would do anything that I could to try and keep the kids from seeing him doing that. And when they were really little, when he did it the first time, when he self-harmed the first time, I told him if he ever did it again, I was leaving. And then he waited until the kids were older, and I was really dependent upon him. And it was also for my own protection as well, honestly. So I think that's part of it too. So in enabling, one might be in a situation where it's kind of self-preservation is a little bit in there too. But what ultimately happened was that when he started this behavior and he was in a where my kids could actually see him do it, I was like, all right, get the hell out of my house. We're done, because I would acquiesce to what he wanted because I didn't want the kids to see it. But then when he started becoming more bold and doing it where the kids could see it, I was just like, we're done. I think a lot of times people have their tipping point with, the enabling thing, where they'll enable for their own self-preservation, and they're probably not ready yet, to make that decision, because sometimes it like if you don't enable, then it can be threatening to what you perceive your relationship is, or your life, or your lifestyle, or even your life. I mean, it could be a whole myriad of different things, because it's all when somebody is being enabled, they're being enabled to do a destructive behavior, whatever that behavior is, whether it's drinking and drugs, or whether it's some sort of abuse, or whatever that is. So there's a whole dynamic in there. So I'm happy to sort of touch on those points if I can remember them, and and work through that, and see if we can unravel some of that kind of dynamic to allow people to sort of claim their power and claim their voice, and to create a situation that is healthier for both them and the person who is being enabled, because it's unhealthy all the way around, not just for the person who's, not for one or the other, but the whole situation is, unhealthy all the way around.
The system is destructive. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is. And it would be nice for all of us to have a chance to hear a consciousness alignment about freedom from that.
Okay. All right. I'm just writing down. All right. Ready? And hopefully I'll remember as many things as I can remember that I just spewed out of my mouth. So here we go.
Okay.
Thank you, divine consciousness that lives in, through, and as me, and is both the voice that speaks and the ear that hears. It is all the material manifestation of this world and all potentiality that is just waiting to happen, is waiting to be brought forth into creation. Now, thank you for releasing this person from the patterns that allow them to enable another into destructive behaviors. And thank you for releasing this person from any genetic lineage that they may have learned these patterns from their mother's side of the family or their father's side of the family, going back 10,000 generations, that have allowed this person to stay in a relationship where they enable this other person. Thank you for helping this person to feel safe and secure within themselves, and for releasing any genetic imprints or any genetic patterns going back 10,000 generations down their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family, so that they have inherited a new consciousness, a new way of being, a new thought pattern, a new habit, a new way of living in life that they have inherited from 10,000 generations of their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family, where they feel at peace within themselves and they feel their inner power within themselves, and they're confident in their ability to use that power, to speak their voice, to speak their truth, and allow themselves to say, this is wrong, or I need you to do this, or this is what would be right for me, or to even remove themselves from that situation if that is what the situation calls for. Thank you. It's already done. Thank you for empowering this person to feel at ease and at peace with themselves, and to release them from enabling these destructive patterns, because these destructive patterns are destructive to themselves as well. It's destructive to their own sense of self-value and self-worth. So thank you for releasing that from this person's mindset and from this person's energy across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for releasing them from 10,000 generations down their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family from these destructive behaviors. And whether there are curses, or whether there are contracts or energetic vampires or energies that are attached to them, or some family contract or agreement that they have where they feel that they need to allow this behavior to happen in their lives, thank you for deleting, uncreating, and transmuting that now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you for allowing this person to feel empowered to be themselves and to be at ease within themselves and to feel confident in who they are and in their decisions, knowing that those decisions are the right decisions. Thank you for creating a true peace within this person and a power that is so grounded in them that they know that they are making the right decisions as they make them, and that they may be afraid at first to let go of whatever it is, but that is just that passes so quickly. It passes so quickly, and the power that they feel and the confidence that they feel within themselves is what grounds them. And thank you for imprinting this person with a new confidence, a new self-assurance that they are walking the right path. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you for also imprinting this person with a new sense of ease and freedom within themselves, ease and freedom within themselves as they free not only themselves, but their entire family lineage going forward now and forevermore from these patterns. And thank you for releasing this person from 10,000 generations of their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family of this family lineage, so that they have inherited 10,000 generations of freedom and a willingness to speak their truth and a confidence in walking their path and knowing that the path that they lead is the right path for them, regardless of how it shows up, and allowing them to move confidently forward in a healthy direction, in a happy direction, one that brings them joy, one that brings them fulfillment, one that brings them freedom, however that shows up. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you for imprinting this person 1,000 times now, 1,000 times now with this new consciousness, and allowing their future generations to inherit this now and forevermore, so that this confidence and this self-assurance and this freedom of this behavior is now imprinted upon all future generations. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you, it's already done now, and so it is. Okay, take a deep breath and push it all out. Take another deep breath and Push it all out.
Wow. That's another great one. What did you think, you guys?
Release and let go. It's just such a good feeling about releasing and letting go.
Well, for me, it was like the words that you were saying, I recognize them, I'm familiar with them, and all of a sudden, they were almost like popcorn popping. You know, it was just like, boom, gone, bam, gone. You know, no more feeling behind that. It was great. And whenever you say now, it's like getting hit in the head with a gong. You know, it's like bam. You know, it's like, you know,
I think
but
that's
it's like, but it,
2x4.
yeah, and it like locks it in. And as you were going, those words, you know, some of them you repeated again, and you didn't have the same power behind them, like, or you could feel yourself trapped by them, but no longer. It was really interesting. I felt a lot lighter, and then towards the end, I just felt real solid and focused, and a lot of pain gone, just instantly.
Oh, great. Wow.
Especially
great.
when you mentioned 10,000 generations and your mom's side, your dad's side.
Yes,
like, that works. You know, you can feel that. So I could relate to that. So, yeah, it was great. Thank you.
And I'm glad you brought that up, George, because that's a really important piece, because we don't realize a lot of times in our culture here in the United States how much the past has an effect on us, and our lineage has an effect on us.
Sure does.
So clearing that is really, really a good thing.
Yeah, perfect thing to say is clearing. That's what I felt. It felt like I said in the beginning, there was it looked like a bunch of pearls all together, or like popcorn kernels, and then also they were just popping, and then right when you said now, like a whole bunch of them just went away, like all the feeling went away from them, and you just kept going, and more popped and went away, and but not only that, I could feel what those things felt like before, and how I was kind of trapped by them. And so as you kept going and going, I started getting lighter and lighter and less, pearls or less of these things. But every time you said now, it was just like a wake up, bam. It really stuck.
Great.
It was great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Definitely.
So, Kerri, tell us a little bit more. I know we're going to do one more on health, because everybody needs a little boost, I think, when it comes to health today. So much stuff is going wrong with people's health. But before we go there, please let people know how they can get a hold of you and what you're offering for people today.
Okay. So anybody can go to commandmiracles.com. I have a 5-day free trial. And what's in there is, so I have a library of consciousness alignments, and I'm not sure how many are in there. Somebody told me the other day that they think that there are over 100 in there right now. I just do them and we put them in the library. But I think there are over 100, or close to 100, if not over. And they're just, like exactly what we're doing here, like 2 or 3 minutes, me doing my thing on, each individual topic. And there are even some fun ones in there too, like, finding your keys and, things like that. And so there's that. You get access to the Consciousness Alignment Library. And also there is a monthly group call similar to what we're doing here. But I take individual requests for the group call. And I go through them, as many as I can. So if people don't have any more requests, then we stop. Or if, my voice were to give out or something, then we would stop. But I'm not limited to like an hour or whatever. I'm happy to do that, as long as it's required. And also, there is a private Facebook group where people can, engage with each other and talk about things and share, what you're feeling and, all of that, as well as contribute to, telling me, hey, I would like to have this done or that or whatever, in the call. Because, I have people from all over the world that are participating in this program, and not everybody is on my time schedule So the replays are then put up in the back office, and you can listen to the replays. Or if you're in the UK, and I typically do my calls towards the evening, or even further, like in Africa or further, it might not be practical for you to listen. So the replays are put up as well. So it's a really awesome program, and it's really affordable, and you get 5 days free before to decide on whether that's actually something for you. So I would recommend that everybody check it out. I've heard a lot of really fabulous feedback from it, that some people just download them and put them on repeat and just let it go through the day, and just miracle after miracle just seems to be landing in their life. So and I've heard other things as well. So it's just really, really phenomenal stuff. So thanks, Patricia.
And yes, and what if somebody wants you to do a personal consciousness alignment for them? Do you offer that?
Yeah.
Just so
we offer that actually. Yeah, we offer that. It's discounted through the program. So if you were to sign up for even like a 1-month program and you wanted that, there are discounts. So and the pricing is back in the website, as well. So, but there's
and that's
like
at commandmiracles.com.
Yeah, that's at commandmiracles.com, and the program is called Manifesting Miracles. But if you go to commandmiracles.com, you can access all of that information there. And there are even consciousness alignments on the landing page. So if you're checking it out, there are some testimonials. I think there's even a testimonial from you on there, Patricia. And there's a consciousness alignment on there for, I think, finances. And there are there are a bunch of written testimonials, some video testimonials, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. So
terrific. So health is a big problem for many, many people today. I mean, whether you have something minor that's constantly irritating you or something major that you're struggling with. I mean, it seems to me that every time I turn around, somebody else is telling me they have either a chronic illness or cancer, or, this is a just epic proportions. So I don't know if the rest of you have the same experience, but it does appear that way, that people are experiencing more sickness than ever before. So what do you think, guys? Is this something that you experience as well?
Absolutely.
I
I noticed that water towers out here are loaded up with microwave antennas and all types of antennas that are bringing in signals. And you got to remember, the water in that tank is being bombarded by all this stuff. And then that goes into your sinks and your shower, and, you're drinking from it. I mean, that is really dangerous. I noticed that in New Orleans, they have street lamps, and they're trying to figure out how to hide these towers because of they're ugly to look at. So what they did was they made street lamps that have these antennas on them, but they're built into the lamppost. So when you walk by them, you hear them buzzing. That is not good. That's radiating out, and you're walking right through that field. And that's why people are getting sick. And the whole 5G thing is another deal. But anyway,
that's exactly what I was going to mention was the 5G. That's scary. That is so
people
scary.
are dying all over India. I mean, they've got these cell towers all over India. People are dropping dead and coming down with brain cancer. Whole families
Putting them
coming
all
down
around
with brain cancer.
Here, where I live, there's a couple of towers that have just gone up.
You have them there? You have them in Tucson?
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, Tucson.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I think
we're
where
being
you are
subjected to this, on all sides. It's really I think a challenge to stay in alignment with health. So Kerri, we need your help with this.
Okay. So I have all the issues, but what would be a good solution? So maybe cocooning or ballooning or protecting, like a protective shield. Okay, I think that's it.
Protective shield would be good.
Okay. All right. I'm going to
and also realigning ourselves with our own perfect health, so that, you know, we all have aches and pains and different things that we're going through as we get older, unfortunately. And so, you know, it would be nice to have a more, I guess, a whole feeling that we're feeling better every day instead of worse every day.
Okay.
Less pain, you know, more cellular happiness.
Yeah. Okay. Cellular.
But, you know, we all have pain. I mean, I know George, PK, and myself, we all have different levels of pain, different times, and it's very distracting, and it's very difficult. So that would be great to have that gone.
Okay. So I'm going to focus on the microbiome, the diet, the environment, EMF bombardment and radiation, and the feeling that we have no control over it. And I'm going to ask for realignment with perfect health and cellular happiness and cocooning, like anchoring that in. Let me write anchoring. And imprinting people with that, you know, instead, and creating that sort of cocoon or protective shield around people, so that it's that they're sort of immune to it. Because I do believe that consciousness is more powerful than the powers that be out there.
Yes, it's true. Right.
So, all right.
And locked it in.
Yep. Thank you, divine consciousness that lives in, through, and as me, and is both the voice that speaks and the ear that hears, and is every single person, every material manifestation, every potentiality in the universe. Thank you, thank you, thank you for releasing this person from the toxins that are in their body and the toxins that are in their environment, and the effects that has on the body, including the depletion of a healthy microbiome, the depletion of a healthy diet, the environmental factors. And thank you for releasing them from EMF bombardment and radiation, and the 5G effect that it is having on our cells and on our bodies. Thank you for releasing this person now across all time, space, dimension, and reality from all of these contributing factors that have interfered with our abilities to have healthy bodies. And thank you for replacing that consciousness now across all time, space, dimension, and reality with a new consciousness that allows for this person to experience vibrant health, perfect health, and restoring them and realigning this person with perfect health. And thank you for cocooning them and protecting them now across all time, space, dimension, and reality, so that this is anchored into them and that perfect health is anchored into them. Thank you for releasing them from anything in the way of that across all time, space, dimension, and reality, going down their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family, in every level of consciousness, every strand of DNA, every vibrating molecule, and every spinning atom. Thank you for releasing this person from the factors that have contributed to their health and a lack of perfect health. Thank you for releasing them from the contributing factors that have contributed to their not having perfect health now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for replacing that consciousness and replacing that with a new sense of vitality and well-being and perfect health now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for creating an immunity within this person from all of these environmental factors and all of the physical ailments and the physical factors that have contributed to them not living in perfect health now. Thank you for imprinting them 1,000 times now with perfect health, 1,000 times now with perfect health, 1,000 times every day for the rest of their days here on planet Earth with perfect health and well-being, so that this person becomes happier every day and becomes more vibrant every day and becomes more in alignment with their perfect health every day until they decide that it is time for them to leave this plane. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. And when they do decide to leave this plane, thank you for making a peaceful transition, one that they've chosen, one that they know is right for them. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you for creating within this person a cellular harmony and a cellular happiness that they can feel vibrating through their entire body now and forevermore for the rest of their life here on planet Earth. And thank you for imprinting their future generations with the same immunity to all of these environmental factors now and forevermore, now and forevermore. Thank you for anchoring that within this person and their future generations so that they experience healthy vibrancy within their lives. And every day they feel better and better and better. Thank you, it's already done. Thank you, it's already done now. Thank you, it's already done now. And so it is. Okay, take a deep breath. And push it all out. Take another deep breath. And push it all out. How was that? Do you want me to add to that?
I think that was pretty complete. What do you guys think?
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, and because I'll tell you what, I speak to a lot of people in groups on Facebook and who have chronic illness, and it's hard to get ahead of the pain that they're in. But just listening to the consciousness alignment that you just gave, I can see where that would help so many people to be able to get out ahead of it and realize, no, you don't have to live that way in pain, that your consciousness is more powerful and can heal you. So this has just been wonderful, hearing all these potentials and possibilities and probabilities, actually, what can manifest. Now, tell us also for other personal stories, because you've been doing this for a while. Any consciousness alignments where you can tell us the happy ending, or any consciousness alignments that you've been asked to do that were maybe kind of strange?
It's funny because people tell me, and then I blame it on being blonde. It goes kind of in one ear and out the other, and I blame it on being. Well, my favorite current story is that one about the Louvre. And you have a fantastic story too, because you've learned how to do this, and
yes.
You took my 12-week program. And you've got a great story of a friend who was looking for a soul connection, and then it seems like things are going pretty well in that direction.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. And yes, that she was contacted. She wanted to find her soulmate, and she was all of a sudden, she said, I think it was a week later, she was contacted by her ex-husband from many, many years ago. She had gotten married when she was quite young, and they got divorced when she was quite young. And all of a sudden, after the consciousness alignment, he called her. And things have just taken off like a rocket from there. So everything is just falling into place. And she said to me the other day, you have to come to the wedding. She said, you're the one that sparked this whole thing. So I said, well, thanks to Kerri Kannan, I learned something of how to do this. I mean, I'm certainly a neophyte compared with your gifts, Kerri, but it was very, very interesting and powerful. And I'm so happy for this woman that she has this reconnection in her life, and she feels that this is what was meant to be. But she also had, I have to say, she also had a really good attitude, because she said to me, even if this doesn't work out, I am sure that this is happening so it can clear the way for the right person to come. So, that level of flexibility in consciousness and being able to, as you say, may not come the way you think it will. But, early on, she said, if it doesn't work out with him, then it's basically meant to surface to show me that it was in the way. So, and I did another consciousness alignment for someone, and she wanted to take better care of herself. And what happened was she ended up calling me and saying, I think it worked in reverse. I'm like, what happened? And she said, well, I started having suicidal thoughts. I'm like, oh, well, that's not working in reverse. What that tells me is that the consciousness alignment surfaced some of these thoughts that you have been carrying around for a very long time. And that has been in the way of you taking better care of yourself. So you have an opportunity to clear that now and make way for a better way of taking care of yourself. So it's interesting. It's interesting how these things manifest. And I think it's very important that people know it doesn't manifest in reverse. It manifests either what you're asking for or it manifests your resistance so you can clear it. And there's so many ways to clear resistance now between tapping and Psych K and, oh, my God, there's just so many different ways to get these old patterns of thinking and beliefs out of the way. So I think we're living at a time where these things can move out quickly, and then we're free to align with ourselves, because this is really what this is all about. It's aligning with the true self, the true soul. That is what makes a difference. And when we're not getting what we want, we have to consider that we're not aligned with ourselves, that we're somehow got knocked off base, bought into a belief system that isn't true. And so we're going down this dark path, and it's frustrating. So hearing your consciousness alignments puts you back into that mode of, wait a second here.
Now that you're talking, there are some that are like popping up, like as you're talking, I'm like, oh, then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. There's a bunch in my life. So it seems like it's a little bit more difficult to do it for oneself than it is for other people. But then as you were talking, so things for other people were popping up, and then things for myself were popping up. So, so my marketing manager has been working with me for a year, and she comes from sort of a different cultural and traditional background than I do. And it was interesting because she told me one day that when she was, like I've done some for her, and she was asking that her marriage become better. And, she had, like I did one of those kind of around the back door things, because she had asked me that like twice or three times. So I went around the back door way, like I did, with you. And I did something for her to release her attachment to how that marriage showed up, and for her to be happy and fulfilled in whatever the relationship was that she had. And so from that, she told me that, after that, she kind of let go of, her marriage getting better. And then all of a sudden one day she noticed that her marriage had gotten better, and that her husband was being more attentive, and that he was contributing more, and he was supporting her more, and things like that. And then because she wanted to feel love for her husband again, a greater love for her husband than she had. And then all of a sudden she realized that she's starting to fall in love with her husband again. So
how nice.
That's one.
That's really lovely.
Yeah. So that's one. And there was a woman that I did one for who had adult children. And it was the same kind of thing where she wanted for her kids to do what she wanted them to do. And her children were like 24 and, 20 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, well, they're beyond the stage where they need to be doing.
We only have about 20 seconds left. So tell us the happy ending.
Well, she let go of that attachment, and she didn't care anymore about what they did. So.
Oh, that's
I'm with
her. Go do your thing, kids. That's great. Oh, gosh. Well, Kerri, this has been wonderful. George, PK, what a delightful evening for all of us tonight.
Thank you,
Kerri. Has just been...
Thank you.
It was delightful.
Been great.
Great. I'm happy.
Very healing. Very healing. And again, everybody, go visit Kerri at manifestmiracles.com, right?
Nope. Commandmiracles.com.
I knew it was something like that. Okay. Commandmiracles.com, everybody. So, look, we will be back next week again, and we're going to go talk about angels. So we're coming into the very spiritual time of year. And in the meantime, everybody, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Be safe out there. See you next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural Girls.